What's going on, ESGN Nation, and welcome back to another episode here of the Highland Scotties Team Builder Dynasty here on NCAA 14, as we're getting ready to start the second part of the off season of this series, and of course getting prepared for season number 7. And we'll talk a bit about what's going to happen in season 7 when it comes to custom conferences, which we'll see here in just a bit. As you take a look here, talking about the custom conferences here. Here is what the custom conferences, try to say that 10 times fast, are going to look like for season 7 and of course beyond. Now, we of course will change some of these conferences here as we're trying to adapt to some of the teams that are going to be changing in real life. Now, I did add some teams that obviously you see here. Boise State not going to be a part of the Big 12, but they are rumored to be a part of the Big 12 at some point, maybe in the future. We are going to put them in the North Division. We also, of course, there's been talks about Arizona and Arizona State possibly being being two of the four corner schools there, joining the Big 12, and so we added those two there as well. So, a little different from what's been talked about, but at the same time, we're going to kind of add some of the rumors, schools that could possibly be there. And of course, when they do actually change here in the next year or two here in the series, then we'll change those up. But we do add Cincinnati. We also add Houston and UCF as well in the Big 12. Now, in the Big 10, of course, the big talks about in the Big 10 obviously is USC and LSU, USC and UCLA moving to the Big 10, and of course those two teams will of course move into the Big 10 after the 2023-2024 season. If I'm correct, you guys could correct me if I'm wrong. Please do in the comments. But we wouldn't have those two schools there. They'll be in the Big 10 West, and of course we shifted some schools around here. But you can only add 16 teams to a school. I'm hoping in the near future, once we get the new NCAA game, which will be out in this summer of 2024, I'm hoping that you can add up to 20 schools in a conference, because there's been talks about possibly moving Notre Dame into there, and of course possibly Washington and Oregon also possibly going to the Big 10 as well. So, like I said, we're trying to make it as close as we can to the real thing, what's going on in college, sports, college football right now, of course in the next year or two. But as well as take a look at Conference USA, pretty much, we didn't change too many things. We got a few changes there, here and there. We got UTEP, UTSA, Western Kentucky, UAB, Rice, North Texas, New Mexico State, Middle Tennessee State, Louisiana Tech, Florida International, of course Florida Atlantic in those conferences. And of course that's just one solid conference with 10 schools, or 8, 9, 10, 11 schools there. So if they happen to add another school there, or if I did miss a school, then we could actually have 12 and then be able to have 2 divisions in there. But for right now, it's just one entire conference by itself. Now, for the independents, I was kind of flip-flopping back and forth. I was thinking about putting Army West Point in the ACC, because they are on the East Coast there in West Point, West Point, New York. So I was going to put them there, but I decided just to leave them in the independents. There you see the MAC. MAC, of course, hasn't changed there. If you guys been watching this series since season 5 when we started doing the relegation, adding schools, they had sister conferences. The Big 5 had a sister conference with the other 5. We were swapping those around. They were actually doing pretty well. Some of those MAC schools were actually doing pretty well in the Big 10. There you see the Mountain West there. I was going to change the Mountain West drastically. I was going to put a lot of these like San Diego State, San Jose State, which has been rumored right now, Fresno State as well. Rumored going to the Pac-12. But at the last minute, I was like, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're just going to leave them as they are. And if I decide to make the Pac-12, what they could possibly be in the future with the rumors going around, then we can easily change that. And of course, that would drastically change the Mountain West. But we're going to keep the Mountain West as the Mountain West for right now. And then at some point here, if we want to make some changes, we can. Right now, there's the Pac-12 what it would look like here if one of those schools left. Of course, Cal, or I should say Oregon and Washington are, of course, rumored to be leaving at some point here. But then you got Cal, Stanford, Colorado, Utah, Oregon, Washington State, and Oregon State there. So you got 8 teams there in the Pac-12. And like I said, if you guys think there are some schools that should go in the Pac-12 from other conferences, let me know down below in the comments section. And of course, if they're convincing enough, you guys can convince me enough to change them. I'll change them. And because I would love to see some variety, some craziness. Because I've seen some craziness already. If you've been following the series here, in this the relegation beforehand, there was some crazy. I've seen some crazy scores. I've seen crazy teams do some amazing stuff. Being the power, once they were coming out of the bottom, out of the other 5 conferences, and they were going to one of the Power 5 conferences. They're just kicking ass. I mean, they were just destroying some of the Power 5 schools there. So, like I said, if you guys got any schools you guys want to suggest for the Pac-12, let me know down below in the comment section. I would love to, not necessarily debate about, but hey, maybe if you guys can convince me enough, let me know down below and I'll change them. But take a look at, of course, the SEC. Everybody's talking about them coming up here. As you heard, you got Oklahoma and Texas going there. And of course, there's been rumors saying that they could be possibly leaving actually probably in this summer in IRL. And of course, as me as a Big 12 guy, I'm kind of like, yeah, goodbye, see ya, Texas, Oklahoma, bye, have fun, enjoy yourself, because you will get slaughtered. But there you see the Alabama. We moved them over from the west to the east. Auburn, Florida. I try to get as geographically close to one another, geographically and stuff like that. But there you see Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State, Missouri, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Texas A&M in those divisions as well there. So I think it's a good mix there. I'm really interested in seeing how that's going to play out with that, especially the battles between Georgia and Alabama. You'll see here in a bit the conference rivalry games. I try to keep them as close as I possibly can, especially when it comes to cross-branding rivalries and stuff like that. I try my best to keep them, so if I don't have the ones that are significant, that are important, then let me know down below in the comment section. Let me know. I'll fix it, and we'll go with it. So this first season, it won't be, maybe it's not perfect, but next season, if you guys can help me out, I will definitely put that on there and correct them, put them out in the correct rivalries there. And that goes for any conference here in this series. There you see the Sun Belt, of course, Arkansas State, Georgia State, South Alabama, Southern Miss, UML, Texas State, Louisiana, Marshall, and Troy are your Sun Belt schools there. And of course, you've seen any of those schools there that you want to see in another conference, especially a conference that doesn't have 16 teams already. Again, let me know down below in the comment section. I will do my best to make those changes, because I do want to keep it geographically correct, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind seeing some a little bit of craziness go on. Some because we already got we got USC and UCLA going from West Coast to possibly have to play all the way out to the East Coast. Playing against teams like Rutgers and Maryland, all that kind of stuff. So it's possible. ACC, there you take a look there. Pretty much standard there for ACC. Like I said, if I would like to I was thinking about putting UMass in there along with Notre Dame, because Notre Dame did play in the ACC there during the pandemic era there for that 1 year. So I could put one of those. I could put one of each in those, because there's still 2 more spots there. But we could put another team. We could put one of the teams in America in there, or actually 2 of the teams in America in there. I'm actually going to put Navy in the ACC. But if there's any other schools here you see that you would like for us to change, I can edit. Like I said, I can do that. Just let me know down below in the comment section. Convince me. Make your case of why they should be in a certain conference there, and you never know. If you convince me enough, I could definitely change them. So it's the power of the conferences up to you guys here. We don't have to necessarily have a real life, close to real life, but I want to make it somewhat realistic too at the same time. So have fun with it, but at the same time have some realism as well in the series, which we've been doing so far here. Take a look here. Conference rules, it just applies, same rules as we started. I think this year I changed the Big Ten. I think they're going to be playing their conference games can start as soon as week 1, as well as the ACC. For us, it's going to start around about week 5 next year. Both the ACC and the Big 12 will start their conference games at week 1, straight up week 1. It's just like the other two are doing in this series as well. So, like I said, there's some of the protective rivalries there. These are some of the new ones right now. I want to kind of test out for the first season or two, see how they work out, and then, like I said, we'll alternate them, we'll change them when it comes to cross rivalry. Some of them I kept that if I knew they were really important for a school like that or whatever, because I looked a lot of those up online and stuff like that. Some of them I did a great job in keeping them where they are, but some others I kind of changed up on some stuff there and try to see if there's some interesting matchups there for the possible future. But there you see those are there, and like I said, not the perfect, not the best, but for the most part here, that's what you're going to see here, and at least in this first season of us doing this kind of realistic realignment here, because like I said, not all the schools are in this game, because this game is what 20 or excuse not 20, it's almost 10 years old coming up here, so it's been a while, and it's gonna take some don't have the real schools in there, because at some point here when that new game comes out, like App State and a couple others, and of course they were talking about maybe even bringing in some of the FCS schools in here, which would be badass. Because me personally, I have some ideas for FCS season or a dynasty for those schools there in the near future. I got plans typed up, ready to go, and maybe to execute that we could possibly execute towards this in the near future. Because I would love to start a Jackrabbits, South Dakota State Jackrabbits series. I would love to do something like that, but not in the game. So, but there you take a look there at MAC as well. We're just, like I said, doing conference rules here. Same rules from, basically from, default settings here. Of course, they, some of these schools, a lot of the conferences don't have their championship location here. So basically, like this one here, best conference record gets to host the, championship game. For us in the Big 12, it's going to be at Jerry World, aka Cowboy Stadium there. So we'll be playing that, again for the third straight year. Again. Maybe somewhere down the future we'll change it up. We'll go maybe to the Cotton Bowl, just kind of spice things up. And of course, there you see SEC. They have their championship location where they play at. ACC does too, and then so does the Big Ten. Pac-12 obviously don't have enough for a championship. Not necessarily a championship game, but they do. Basically, it's going to be whoever has the best record in among those 8 teams win the championship, just like the Sun Belt does, just like the Mountain West as well. So, it's going to be a straight, just whoever has the best record, you're the champion. There you see the bowl tie-ins as well. Of course, the automatic. I did not really change any of these from since the beginning of the series. Just left them as the default. Settings there as well. So, there you go. Nothing's really changed from when bowl qualifiers there. Of course, those are your automatic qualifiers there for each of the conferences, with the exception of maybe I think it's the Mountain West and Sun Belt. I think they don't have. It's basically if they have a great enough record, they get an automatic bid to play in whatever bowl game that's not presented here, which I think is the second team that can go, against the ACC and the Orange Bowl. Whoever has a record out there, they can play in that Orange Bowl against them. So default settings that we had here when we started this series, did not change that at all. I haven't even touched that at all for this series. So but yeah, for the most part here, pretty much standard stuff that's been going on as of late, and we'll see how things go as we move along here. So as we take a look here, we're going to look at some redshirt players here, and of course this is always one of the toughest things here. We've seen in the last episode of this series about cutting players. Now we're getting to the point now we got to figure out what players we're going to hold back for an year. And here are some of those players. You got Alexander, Slaughter, and McGee. Unfortunately, I kept them around. The reason why they're going to get redshirted because of the great speed they have there. They got 90-plus speed. We're going to keep those guys there. We're going to hold them back for a year because I want to get Godfrey, Robinson, Burns, and Barnes a chance to play their ass off this year, especially Godfrey. 99 speed. He's been a starter since day one. And I'm really going to try to do our best to get him a chance to win the Heisman. Not to mention, still give Reed a shot to be a back-to-back Heisman Trophy candidate, winner possibly. But at the same time, I want to get Godfrey there because Godfrey definitely deserves a chance to try to win the Heisman, especially for the wide receiver here. And I don't think I've ever had a wide receiver win the Heisman ever in a series, any game really. Any NCAA game I've ever played. So Hicks, of course, the tight end there, he's going to step back. He's going to sit out this year. Of course, right tackle there, Keith McBride, 76 overall. We're going to hold him back a year as well, so he'll hold on to an extra year of eligibility. And then you see Rice and Brothers, only because there's a good chance that, well, for one, Graham's going to probably be leaving this year, as this is his 5th year, and of course the junior there could possibly leave as well. Now, as for the schedule, this is always tough because you never know who you want to play, and then when you look at it, you're like, man, this is not. I want my team to do better. I wanted to see who they can actually play against, what we can do. Well, I decided, like, you know what, screw it, we're going to play against Alabama. I've been wanting to play against Alabama. We played against them that first year. We lost the national championship game, of course, at the Rose Bowl. We came back and beat them back in season 2, where we won our first championship. And ever since then, we have not played against them at all. Not even as a, I think we played against them again for another national championship. I think in season 4. But since then, we have never played them on any legit schedule. And I was like, I don't want to play them at home. I want to play them on the road. I want to go to the Lions Den itself. So first game, week 1, we are going to Alabama. We're going to face Bama for the first time in this series. And that's going to be interesting there. Of course, we're going to take a week 2 break. And then in week 3, we're going to go to the Big House, take on Michigan, which we never played against before. And then, of course, week 4, we start our conference play against Arizona State. And then we have a non-conference game against Northern Illinois. And, of course, there you see the rest of the Big 12 schedule. Houston, we go on the road to Houston, at home against Iowa, on the road to Cincy, which I think that's going to be a very interesting game, as well as that Boise game, where that's a home game for us. Then we go to Kansas, I think, for the 2nd straight year. Then we go to West Virginia, which I think is be our first time, I think, going there. And then Kansas, we host Kansas State. And then, of course, the last game of the season is against our arch enemy that we've had in this series here so far. And we beat them pretty well here in this series. And that is BYU for the final game in week 14. Of course, conference championship game is in week 15. Of course, we're looking for our 3rd conference championship here in the Big 12. And it's going to be very interesting. I think this is going to be a very interesting year. I think, like I said, that Cincinnati game is going to be interesting. We never played Iowa State. I think, like I said, that Houston, Iowa State, Cincinnati, and Boise game, those are games I'm really, really interested in to see how we do against those teams, because those are, especially the Cincinnati and Boise team, they kind of play, we play similar to one another. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see how that's going to play out. But like I said, we never played against those teams before, and I'm really hoping that we can have a good showing. Are we going to go undefeated? Don't know. Do I care? At this point, no. But I'm hoping that we can get a bowl game as well. And of course, we would love to defend our national championship title again. We won now what, 6? Well, now I should say we haven't started season 7 yet. So technically, it's 5 out of 6 seasons we've won a national championship. Ever since season 2, we've won a national championship and have not stopped. And of course, now we're trying to go for our 6th national championship in 7 seasons. Can we do it? We will find out. But before we start the, of course, obviously the regular season, we always have our recruiting special. And this is where you guys can send in your recruit. Well, actually, technically, you can send in your recruits for next season because we've already got this season. We got a recruiting board already set up for you guys for this season. So unfortunately, if you want to, you can still be a part of the series, but you have to wait and see your player for next year, for this time next season in the series. So like I said, we already got the players already created in the series. And next video you guys will see, actually next 2 videos you guys will see a recruiting special where you get to see the recruits that you guys submitted. And of course, I'm going to try my best to try to get as many of those recruits as we can. Remember, the recruits can be, at this point right now, can be anywhere from any 50 states. But most importantly, we want to get players that are coming from the bordering states of Kansas. So that's Iowa, Nebraska, or technically Iowa's not bordering us, but you know, around that area. Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, or Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Colorado. And of course, the big states like Texas, California, and Florida that we can recruit out of. That we have a nice recruiting pool that we've recruited out now for the last couple of seasons. So like I said, you guys can submit your players there for next for the next recruiting class. But this recruiting class is done with, and we'll showcase those players coming up here in the next episode. So we'll showcase those, and like I said, I'm really excited about starting season 7. It's going to be a very fun season. I cannot wait. A lot of storylines going on. And of course, try to see if we can win another national championship. But that is it for this episode of the finish up of the regular season here, or the off season here for the Highland Scotties Team Builder Series. Like I said, stay tuned for the next 2 videos coming out here. Those videos should be coming out very, very soon. The recruitment special. And of course, then after that, we'll have our first video of the new year. It'll be a preview of week 1 against Bama. We'll have a big special about that, and as usual with the first game of the season, we'll kind of preview the team who we're playing against, which would be Bama, the #1 team in the nation, and of course take a look at some of our players there as well for this upcoming season. But that is it for me. If you guys did enjoy today's episode, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you happen to be new. Hit that bell notification so you guys be notified of this series or any other series here that happens to drop here on ESGNet. Don't forget to follow us over on our second channel over on ESGNet Plus LP. There's a link down below as well. And also don't forget to follow us on our social media. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Discord, as well as our other platform on Twitch, as we do live stream over there on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Central. Definitely go check it out. Always a fun time. Chill environment over there as well. And again, as always, I will see you all next time. Go Scotty Nation.